Great. Jerry, it's great to have you. What would this bill specify?
Well, what it would do is basically provide money to do a couple of things. It would create a fund in which the Commerce Department could help fund both research into semiconductors, but also to help provide subsidies to companies that decide to build their fabrication plants here in the United States as opposed to in Asia. And one of the things that's happening now is that movement of semiconductor production is going toward Asia and at an increasing pace. You know, the share of semiconductors made in the U.S. has fallen from 30% or so in the 1990s to 12% now. And one study I saw said that 40% of the new semiconductor capacity that is going to come online in the next decade is going to come online in China. And so what this bill is designed to do is put some federal money into some pipelines that will reverse that flow, that will give semiconductor manufacturers incentives, including federal government incentives, as well as local incentives, to put those production and fabrication facilities onshore in the U.S. and thereby address this supply chain problem.
You know, T.J. Rogers, former CEO of Seib Semiconductor, who's a Journal op-ed pages contributor, or, you know, has penned a number of columns there, has come on and talked about this issue and warned against the government getting too involved with directing funds into building up U.S. semiconductor capacity, because he says it basically ends up oftentimes being wasted or sort of propping up weaker companies. You could think of maybe some prominent examples today. You know, so it's not as if we don't want to secure a domestic supply, but is there a risk that such measures could do more harm than good in the long run?
Well, there is, and this is the classic industrial policy debate. And what we're talking about here, let's be honest, is a bit of an industrial policy move. Now, one of the interesting things is that traditional free market conservative Republicans on this subject now kind of think that's the thing to do. Why? Well, there are two reasons for that. One is other countries are doing this. You know, the Chinese and the Taiwanese, and Taiwan is a big factor here as well, which we might want to discuss, but they're providing incentives, and we're going to lose ground if we don't do the same. But secondly, you need to view this as a national security issue, not just an economic business issue. That makes the argument for government intervention better and kind of more compelling. Why is it a national security issue? Because if you turn the production of semiconductors over to China in particular, and let's say China invades Taiwan and takes over the production of semiconductors that is happening in Taiwan as well, then you've created a national security liability or vulnerability for the U.S. That's something the government ought to and has a legitimate role in stopping. And that's the argument for industrial policy in this
case. And I
case.
assume that's why you said it might be worth talking about Taiwan separately, is that a geopolitical threat there. It reminds me of the dependence on foreign oil that was the phrase that I've heard since I was a kid in the 1970s. Dependence on it's dangerous. It's a national security issue. Here is yet another case. My question, Jerry, is this. From inception to actual manufacture, how long would it take to build these kinds of fabrication plants if the government were to get involved, incentives were to be put in place? Are we talking about 3 years, or are we talking about a decade or more?
It's a good question, and I don't know the precise answer, but it's a couple of years for sure. And there's another issue, which is you also have to make sure you have brought up to speed a workforce necessary to staff those plants. It's not simple work. It requires skill and it requires training. And so both those things have to happen. So you're not talking about an overnight fix. You're talking about 3, 4, 5 years down the line to really change the equation that we're talking about here. But, you know, there's probably that amount of time. If you're worried about the Taiwan example that I mentioned, you worry about the Chinese invading, taking over Taiwan, seizing control of what might be the most important semiconductor manufacturing company in the world, which is situated in Taiwan. That's probably 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road, even if you're willing to contemplate that nightmare scenario. But you're right. This is semiconductor chips are the new oil to some extent.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.